thank you all, and thanks for being here. Hopefully, we made it convenient on you with the game here tonight. I want to start just with some very appropriate thank yous to Governor Bill Lee, our Tennessee legislature, Mayor Jim Strickland, proud Tiger himself, and many others with leadership with the city who have really been fantastic throughout this whole process, for recognizing the impact that a transformational renovation like this will have not only on our city, but our university and really the entire Mid-South. This is, ultimately a result of alignment and leadership and believing in a shared vision. And with the state saying yes to the city, both on the investments in Simmons Bank Memorial Stadium, the FedEx Forum, and other venues here locally, for us, I consider it another massive step forward in what could easily be considered a university-wide transformation that has been happening over the last several years. And it really started, if you think back on it, when the university was granted independent Board of Trustees oversight. And since then, a lot of developments have taken place. Certainly the Carnegie R1 status was a highlight among those efforts. But also, just if you look across our entire university campus, the facilities and all the things that have happened, that includes $70 million, almost $70 million in athletics facilities over the last 7 years. And as we talked about almost a year ago, so I think it was about 11 months ago, we talked about what an important message this would send, this type of investment would send to the college athletics universe, particularly as it relates to potential conference realignment opportunities. And as we talked then, those types of opportunities don't come because you deserve them. They come because of what you bring to the table. And this type of investment is an incredible demonstration of both the capacity of this place and the commitment to being successful at a very high level. I think we have incredible momentum here. I am extremely thankful, and I just think we're really well positioned here moving forward. So thank you all for being here, and open it up for questions.
Seems like everything's going to be contingent upon the Grizzlies and FedEx Forum. When do you expect to know what the Grizzlies will be asking, and how much of a chunk will they take out before you know what you can do?
That's really a question for the city, as you might imagine. Obviously, I don't control all those conversations, but I don't expect that process to take too much longer in terms of how all those dollars will be allocated. But that's something we'll defer to the city on here moving forward. Mm-hmm. That's still part of the process. So as mentioned, the next big question here, one of the next big questions is how will all those dollars be allocated and to what projects and where? And one of the things I have appreciated about this city is how they've approached this with us and with others, up until this point. And it's really been a hand-in-hand process to develop the design and the vision and even look at an overall budget, understanding there's a lot of things they have to work through to get as much possibly done for a lot of places as they can. So we're going to continue to work forward with them, and we fully expect to do our part, but we're going to let that process play out before we determine those things.
Once you determine the money, because last year you gave your vision question for what you wanted, how soon after you find out what you get, what can you do?
Mm-hmm.
How soon after you know that?
Yeah, so that the other thing I appreciate about the city is they've been very proactive in the process, and they've included us with them in it. So not only in pursuing the funds from the state and going through this whole process that we're realizing now, but also in the design process itself. So what we shared with you before was a master plan vision that we shared with them in developing, and now they have hired a really good group. So a local management group, MFA. Populous as the architects, and Barton Mallow as the contractor. And we've all been working together here over the last few months, and we'll continue that process to where all those things come together really at once. So in the old days, it used to be you'd have to go through this big design, and you'd have to then raise the money, and then you would start construction. Well, nowadays, all those things kind of come together along the path, and then at some point here they converge. and it really looks like things are converging well and staying on our original target of breaking ground after this season, working through the 24 season, and being done by 25.
Sam Harmon, Daily Neptune. Beyond the funding streams that passed the General Assembly, have there been any conversations between the university and the city about another funding source to maybe make up a gap that might exist when the funds are out there?
We've had conversations with the city that of different opportunities that could be there and how that could come together, but nothing of specifics yet until they determine how the rest of the dollars are going to be allocated.
What are some of those opportunities?
You know, for us, it would really center around philanthropic support from donors, many times associated with the real high-level premium seating and other opportunities that are going to be in the stadium. But that would be the primary source that we could help bring to the table.
The mayor, Mayor Strickland, just the other day was talking about this. Great news for everyone. Being an alum, he's certainly pro-Memphis. He talked about, and I'm paraphrasing here, that he thinks this type of project and the renovations puts Memphis in a different stratosphere where they could possibly, if there's realignment in the future, move into a Power 5, his words, P5. Do you think that that's a big reason that it's held you guys back? And do you think what he says, there's some truth to that?
You know, I have, from the beginning when we talked almost a year ago, I shared that I don't think, doing this with the stadium will in and of itself get us into a Power 5 conference or allow us to elevate. But not doing it could be a great way to prevent it. So it is, I think, a necessary and critical step, not just because we need to look like we belong, but because of the message that sends that we have the capacity, the commitment, the people here that care to invest those kind of dollars in our football program. But it goes along with a lot of other things. And one of the reasons I am so bullish about our potential opportunities moving forward is because in many ways it is sort of the last piece that we feel like we can bring to the table. When you look at all the other things that have happened, we've got winning football, we've proven our fan base. We've elevated to Carnegie R1 status at the university level. There's all these things that have happened over the last several years that have put us in a really, really good competitive position. So when I'm out there talking to other athletic directors or conference folks, or President Hargrave is talking to his counterparts, this is one of the last big pieces that those kind of folks are looking for. But it goes along with many other real positive attributes that we bring. So I'm going to share with you a little bit how I kind of talk about the University of Memphis when we have those kind of conversations. First of all, as I mentioned before, it's the conference realignment position or opportunity that could come is it's about what we bring, right? And we bring real added value. So if you look back at, for instance, the combined viewership, total combined viewership between football and men's basketball over the last, say, 5 years, us compared to other potential expansion opportunities or other places, we are far and away the most in terms of total combined viewership. And we're actually very similar to what you look at of recent members that went to the Big 12. We obviously bring incredible corporate partnership kind of opportunities, obviously the FedExes and AutoZones, but others. And we are, as demonstrated with this investment, we're in a thriving, growing state, which when you talk to other universities, other university presidents, athletic directors, those kind of things really matter in terms of the types of institutions that they're looking at. I do think location is a huge advantage for us. Not only just what I shared about being the state, but being in the center of the kind of central city of the Mid-South. And as I remind my counterparts, we are in the heart of football-centric SEC country where some of the best recruits reside. I think should be proud of the fact that universities across the country now are looking for diversity. It is a really high priority, particularly to presidents that you talk to. And we obviously have diversity and can bring diverse not only student opportunities but staff and others because of the makeup of our city. It's also a cool, dynamic city. So one of the things that we've heard talked a lot about when you read about, for instance, the Big 12 and kind of what they're looking for and what they're trying to do, they talk about trying to align with youth culture and entertainment. That's Memphis, right? That's the kind of thing we bring. And we also have what I would call a proven winning brand. So where others sort of talk about the potential for success from a winning standpoint, we are the only group of 5 school in the country to have gone to bowl games the last 9 years, 9 consecutive years. The basketball success sort of speaks for itself. I think we all know very well the history that's happened here. But our team came up with a stat that I think is really really interesting, in that we are one of 3 teams in the country that have won 18 or more men's basketball games in the last 23 years, along with KU and Gonzaga. So those kind of things matter when you're talking to those counterparts. And we are now investing in and seeing really comprehensive success across all of our programs, with what's happened with women's basketball, the investments made in that venue, the investments we just made in baseball. Our tennis teams are competing for conference championships right now. So across the board, we're investing, and we've competed well academically too. We're consistently at the top of our conference from a graduation success rate standpoint. So you talk about all those things, and those are just kind of a snapshot of the conversations that we have with our counterparts across the country. But it's important to know that this goes along with a lot of other extremely compelling arguments about why we would be a great partner at an even higher level from a conference standpoint.
With the football playoff expansion, isn't it better to be a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond? Because you have opportunities that were not there that may lead you to not be as anticipated of going to a Power 5. You may have a better opportunity being a Group 5 and get an opportunity to play for a championship.
Yeah, it's a really interesting, compelling question. There is a lot to be said as well about being as good as you possibly can in the environment you're in, right? And that's the other piece of this, is we got to continue to pursue and look for opportunities to elevate, but we also got to just position ourselves to be as competitive and successful in the environment we're in as we have right now. And you hear that argument a lot, that maybe we'd be better off in a conference where we can consistently win or be right at the top and have an opportunity like that. But there's a lot of other considerations, right? You look across the board, you look at the opportunity for not only revenue but exposure, as particularly as President Hargrave is talking a lot now about taking our university from more of a regional university to a national scale, and athletics can serve a big role in that in terms of the exposure we provide and the visibility. So a lot of different considerations, and that'll all have to continue to be balanced.
When the construction goes on, what will happen to the player experience, the fan experience? How will that interfere, or will it interfere with games?
Mm-hmm. Well, eventually, once we get this thing done, it'll enhance the player experience and the fan experience dramatically. But through the construction, we will have a year, so the 24 season, where we anticipate having a construction site, including some level of this the stadium, call it a half or a third of the stadium, will actually be blocked off for construction. So I've actually been at a couple places where we've done something similar, and essentially you set up a construction zone and you manage the experience around it. And while it's not optimal, it still works, and we can have a successful, good experience for the 24 season, and we'll make sure from a player standpoint, from official standpoint, all those kind of things, they've still got a great environment and experience going into that 24 season as well. It is very important, but it's not just because they come to a game and see it, or because they come into a recruiting visit and they see our great venues, but it's because of how it will continue to elevate the whole program across the board every time we're on TV, every time we're talked about. A lot of when you see a stadium and how it's just viewed aesthetically really has an impact on your brand overall as a program and as an institution. So it is much broader than just a single visit or a single game.